Your brother deserves the spotlight this weekend. You'll understand. The words hit me like a physical blow. I stood frozen in my bedroom, wedding dress hanging behind me, phone pressed so hard against my ear it hurt. My mother's voice was calm, practiced, like she'd rehearsed this conversation. No tremor of guilt. No hesitation. Just cold, casual cruelty delivered 3 days before my wedding. Mom, what are you saying? My voice cracked despite my effort to stay composed. Ryan's wedding is the same weekend, Lauren. His venue had a last-minute opening. You know how important this is for his career. All his colleagues will be there. Your wedding is smaller, more intimate. You'll understand when you have children of your own. My legs buckled. I sat on my bed, staring at the white dress that suddenly felt heavy with disappointment. She wasn't coming. My own mother was choosing my brother over me on the most important day of my life. I need to go help with final preparations, she continued. We'll celebrate yours another time. Send me pictures. The line went dead. I sat there holding my silent phone, realizing that everything I'd always suspected was true. I was never really her priority. My name is Lauren Pierce, and I'm 28 years old. For as long as I could remember, I'd been the invisible daughter. The reliable one. The one who never caused trouble or demanded attention. My brother Ryan was 3 years older and had always been the golden boy. Mom called him her shining star at family gatherings. She introduced me as my other child or sometimes just Lauren. Growing up, I told myself it didn't matter. Parents weren't supposed to have favorites, so surely I was imagining the difference in treatment. But I wasn't imagining anything. Ryan's soccer trophies covered our living room wall. My academic awards stayed in a drawer because Mom said we couldn't hang everything up. When Ryan got accepted to a state university, she threw a party. When I received a full scholarship to a better school, she said it was nice and asked if I could help with Ryan's dorm shopping. I learned to swallow disappointment like daily vitamins. It became part of my routine. But this? Missing my wedding? That was different. That crossed a line I didn't know existed until she stepped over it. My fiancé Marcus found me sitting on the bed an hour later, still holding the phone. He was carrying coffee and wearing his concerned expression, the one that made his brown eyes soften at the corners. Lauren? Baby, what's wrong? I looked up at him, and that's when the tears finally came. Not gentle tears, but ugly, choking sobs that made my whole body shake. He set down the coffee and wrapped his arms around me, letting me cry into his shirt. She's not coming, I managed between gasps. Ryan's wedding got moved to the same weekend. She chose his. Marcus went rigid. I felt his jaw clench against the top of my head. She said what? I repeated her words, each one tasting bitter. When I finished, Marcus pulled back to look at me, anger flashing across his face. That's unacceptable. I'm calling her. Don't. I grabbed his hand. It won't change anything. It never does. He looked like he wanted to argue, but something in my expression stopped him. Instead, he held me tighter while I cried for the relationship I'd never really had with my mother. The wedding day arrived with perfect weather. Sunny, 72 degrees, with a light breeze that made the outdoor ceremony feel magical. Our venue was a small garden estate with climbing roses and string lights. We'd invited 80 people, mostly close friends and Marcus's family. My side of the guest list was painfully small. I stood in the bridal suite, my best friend Chloe adjusting my veil. She'd been my rock through everything, especially after Mom's call. You look absolutely stunning, Chloe said, her eyes misty. Like a princess from a fairy tale. I smiled at my reflection. The dress was simple but elegant, with delicate lace sleeves and a flowing train. I'd designed every detail myself, spending months perfecting the vision. Event planning had always been my passion, even though Mom called it a hobby that wouldn't lead anywhere practical. Front row is set, Chloe said quietly. The white rose is on her seat. I'd placed it there myself that morning. A single white rose on the empty chair where my mother should have been sitting. Maybe it was dramatic, but I needed something to mark her absence. The ceremony was beautiful. Marcus cried when I walked down the aisle. Our vows were personal and heartfelt, not the generic ones from wedding websites. When we kissed, our friends erupted in cheers. For those few minutes, I forgot about the empty chair. But then came the photos. Our photographer, a young woman named Bailey who'd given us a generous discount, positioned families for formal shots. Marcus's parents beamed in every photo, his mother crying happy tears. When Bailey tried to arrange my family portraits, there was just me and my Aunt Carol, Mom's sister who'd always been kinder to me than her own sibling. "Where's your mom, honey?" Aunt Carol whispered. "Ryan's wedding," I said simply. Her face went pale, then red with anger. "She did what?" "That boy's wedding isn't until next month." My stomach dropped. "What?" "Late October. I have the invitation on my fridge." Aunt Carol looked horrified. "Lauren, she lied to you." The realization hit like cold water. Mom hadn't chosen between conflicting dates. She'd simply chosen Ryan. The wedding wasn't even the same weekend. She'd invented an excuse because she didn't want to come to mine. I made it through the reception on autopilot. Smiling. Dancing. Cutting cake. But inside, I was numb. The betrayal went deeper than I'd thought possible. She hadn't just prioritized Ryan. She'd lied to avoid my wedding entirely. Marcus noticed my change in mood. During our first dance, he whispered, "What happened?" "I'll tell you later," I managed, forcing my smile to stay in place. The rest of the evening blurred together. Speeches. Toasts. More photos. Bailey kept encouraging me to laugh naturally, to enjoy the moment. I tried. I really did. But every camera flash felt like it was documenting my humiliation. Around midnight, when most guests had left, Chloe found me sitting alone at our sweetheart table. She sat down without speaking, just holding my hand while I stared at the garden lights. "She lied," I finally said. "The weddings aren't even the same weekend." Chloe's grip tightened. "I'm so sorry. I've spent my whole life trying to earn her love," I whispered. "And I just realized it doesn't matter what I do. She's never going to choose me." The next morning, I woke up in our hotel suite to my phone buzzing. Facebook was flooded with photos from Ryan's wedding. Mom looked radiant in a gold dress, standing beside Ryan with her biggest smile. The caption on her post read, "My beautiful boy on his special day." So proud. There was no mention of me. No acknowledgement that her daughter had also just gotten married. I scrolled through dozens of photos, each one feeling like a knife twisting deeper. She was glowing with pride for Ryan while she'd literally lied to avoid celebrating me. Marcus stirred beside me. "Morning, Mrs. Chen," he caught himself. "Sorry, Mrs. Pierschchen." I'd kept my last name, something Mom had criticized. "Don't be modern for the sake of it," she'd said months ago. "Men like their wives to take their names." "She's all over Facebook," I said, showing him my phone. Living her best life at Ryan's wedding. Marcus took one look and his jaw clenched. "I'm blocking her. Right now." "You should too. She's still my mother. She stopped acting like it a long time ago." By afternoon, family members started calling. First Aunt Carol, then my cousin Bella, then Marcus's mother Patricia, who'd always treated me like her own daughter. "I saw the photos," Patricia said gently. "How are you holding up?" "I'm fine," I lied. "Lauren, honey, you don't have to be fine. What she did was cruel. But I want you to remember something. You have people who love you. Real family. That wedding yesterday was full of them." Her words made me cry again. Marcus took the phone and finished the conversation while I buried my face in a pillow. When he came back, he sat beside me and ran his fingers through my hair. We're going on our honeymoon, he said firmly. 2 weeks in Ireland like we planned. You're going to disconnect from all this family drama and just be happy. Can you do that? I nodded, even though I wasn't sure I could. The hurt went too deep. This wasn't just about a wedding. It was about 28 years of being second best, of watching my mother pour all her love and attention into Ryan while I collected scraps. Ireland was beautiful. Rolling green hills, ancient castles, tiny pubs with live music. Marcus made sure we stayed busy, filling our days with adventures that left us too tired to overthink. But at night, alone in various hotel rooms, I'd scroll through social media and see Mom's continued posts about Ryan's wedding. The professional photos. The venue details. The glowing descriptions of the perfect day. Stop torturing yourself, Marcus said one night, gently taking my phone. She doesn't deserve this space in your head. I keep thinking about all the times I made excuses for her, I admitted. Every missed recital, every forgotten birthday, every time she prioritized Ryan. I told myself she was just busy, or stressed, or that I was being too sensitive. But I wasn't. She really does love him more. Marcus pulled me close. Her loss. You're incredible, and she's too blind to see it. Then why does it still hurt so much? He didn't have an answer for that. Neither did I. We returned home to a mountain of wedding gifts and a voicemail from Mom. I almost deleted it without listening, but curiosity won. Lauren, it's your mother. I saw some photos from your wedding online. It looked lovely. Listen, I need a favor. Ryan and his wife are planning their thank you cards, and you're so creative with design. Could you help them? Call me back. I played it 3 times, waiting for an apology that never came. No acknowledgement of missing my wedding. No explanation. Just a request for free labor to celebrate Ryan's marriage while mine remained unmentioned. Are you kidding me? Marcus exploded when he heard it. She wants you to design cards for his wedding after she skipped yours? I laughed, but it was hollow and bitter. That's Mom. She genuinely doesn't see anything wrong with this. You're not calling her back. I wasn't planning to. But part of me still wanted to. That desperate, little girl part that kept hoping one day she'd wake up and see me. Really see me. I hated that part of myself. Chloe came over that weekend to help sort wedding gifts. She found me staring at my laptop, looking at photos from both weddings side by side. What are you doing to yourself? She asked, closing the laptop. Comparing, I admitted. Ryan had 300 guests. A string quartet. A 7-tier cake. Mom spent months helping plan every detail. I got 80 people, a DJ, and a bakery cake. And somehow, mine felt more real. Because it was, Chloe said firmly. Every detail was chosen with love. Every person there actually wanted to celebrate you. Quality over quantity, Lauren. She was right, but it didn't erase the sting. I'd designed my entire wedding myself, staying up late drawing table arrangements and flower patterns. It had been beautiful in its simplicity. But Mom saw simplicity as less than. She measured worth in size and expense, and by her standards, I'd failed again. I've been thinking about something, I said slowly. Remember how I've always talked about starting an event planning business? Chloe's eyes lit up. Yes. You should absolutely do that. Maybe it's time to stop waiting for approval and just build something for myself. I started small. Posted wedding photos to Instagram with simple captions about the details I'd designed. Our photographer Bailey had captured everything beautifully, the hanging flowers, the candlelit tables, the rose-covered archway I'd spent weeks creating. One photo in particular stood out, me mid-laugh, surrounded by falling rose petals, my dress catching the golden sunset light perfectly. This is stunning, Chloe said when I showed her. Like something from a magazine. I posted it with the caption, when you design your own wedding, every detail carries your heart. It felt vulnerable, putting myself out there. But it also felt right. By the next morning, the photo had 30 likes. By afternoon, 50. I didn't think much of it until Chloe called, screaming into the phone. "Lauren. Check your Instagram right now." The photo had been shared by Elegant Bride magazine's official account. Their 3 million followers were suddenly looking at my wedding. Comments poured in. "Who is this bride? Absolutely magical. This is what authentic beauty looks like. Can we talk about that dress? Need details." My phone started buzzing nonstop. Friend requests, messages, emails. Within hours, that single photo had been liked over 50,000 times. Marcus came home to find me sitting on the floor, staring at my phone in shock. "What happened? Are you okay?" "I think I just went viral," I whispered, showing him the screen. He read through the comments, his expression shifting from confusion to amazement. "Lauren, this is incredible. Look at all these people loving your work." "It's just one photo." "It's validation," he corrected. "All those years of your mom calling this a hobby, and now thousands of people are celebrating what you created." The irony wasn't lost on me. Mom had spent months helping Ryan plan his traditional, expensive wedding that followed all the rules. Mine, the one she'd dismissed, was the one getting noticed. Not because of money or size, but because it was genuine. Over the next few days, the attention intensified. Wedding blogs featured the photo. Pinterest users saved it to inspiration boards. A local magazine reached out for an interview about the woman behind the viral wedding. Somewhere in the chaos, I stopped checking Mom's Facebook. I didn't need to compare anymore. The interview came out 2 weeks later. Lauren Pierce, the bride who redefined elegance, read the headline. They'd used that photo again, this time full page. The article detailed my design choices, my creative process, and briefly mentioned that I'd planned everything myself. My phone rang minutes after the article went live. "Mom." I almost didn't answer, but Marcus encouraged me. "Let her talk. You don't owe her anything, but hear what she has to say." "Lauren." Mom's voice was sharp. "I just read that article. Why didn't you tell me magazines were interested in your wedding?" "Hello to you too, Mom. This kind of publicity reflects on the whole family. You should have consulted us first." "Us?" The word tasted bitter. "You weren't even there, Mom. You lied about Ryan's wedding date to avoid coming to mine." Silence. "Then, that's not fair. His wedding was important. So was mine." My voice shook but stayed firm. "You made a choice. You don't get to be upset about the consequences." "Don't be dramatic, Lauren. I'm just saying you could have mentioned." I hung up. My hands were trembling, but I felt lighter somehow. For the first time in my life, I'd refused to accept her excuses. The viral attention opened unexpected doors. A local event planning company reached out, offering me freelance work. Then another. Then 3 more. Within a month, I had enough clients to quit my administrative job and focus on planning full-time. I named my business Pierce Events and set up a small office in our spare bedroom. Marcus built me a desk and hung string lights that reminded me of our wedding. Chloe designed my logo. Aunt Carol referred me to everyone she knew. Mom, meanwhile, started telling people she'd always known I'd be successful in the party planning business. When my cousin Bella mentioned this at a family dinner I attended, I corrected her. "Event design," I said clearly. And Mom didn't know. She called it a hobby until it got attention. The table went silent. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. His wife Natalie looked between us with wide eyes. "Lauren, that's not how I remember it," Mom said, her smile tight. "That's exactly how it happened." I kept my voice calm. "You remember telling me to design thank you cards for Ryan's wedding? The wedding you lied to attend instead of mine?" Ryan's face went red. Apparently, he hadn't known about the lie either. The business grew faster than I'd anticipated. Word-of-mouth referrals led to more clients, bigger budgets, more creative freedom. 6 months after my wedding, I planned a ceremony for a local reporter whose coverage brought even more attention. My Instagram following hit 15,000. Mom started showing up unannounced. First at my office, then at events I was setting up. Each visit came with the same script: "You've done so well, sweetheart," followed by requests. Could I plan Ryan's baby shower? Could I help with their anniversary party? Could I give her a discount on supplies for her book club event? No, I said to each request. I'm fully booked with paying clients. Her smile would falter, then freeze into something brittle. Family should support family, Lauren. I agree, I'd reply. I learned that lesson at my wedding. She never had a response to that. She'd leave quietly, and I'd go back to work, building something she couldn't control or diminish. Ryan called me one evening, his voice hesitant. Lauren? Can we talk? What do you want, Ryan? I didn't know, he said quickly. About Mom lying. About the dates not conflicting. Natalie told me, and I felt sick. That's messed up, even for Mom. I waited, letting silence fill the space. I'm sorry, he continued. For not paying attention to how differently she treated us. I always thought you were just being sensitive, but you weren't. I see that now. What changed? I asked, genuinely curious. Having Natalie. Watching how she treats everyone equally. It made me realize how wrong Mom's favoritism was. He paused. And honestly? Your success. Mom keeps comparing my wedding to yours now that yours got famous. It's exhausting. I almost laughed. After years of being compared to Ryan, now he was being compared to me. The irony was perfect. I appreciate the apology, I told him. But I need space. From you, from Mom, from all of it. I understand. He sounded genuinely sad. For what it's worth, your wedding looked beautiful. Way better than ours. A year after my wedding, a major lifestyle brand reached out. They wanted to feature my story in a documentary series about women who'd built successful businesses from personal passion. The producer, a woman named Victoria, explained their vision over coffee. Your story resonates, she said. The wedding your mother skipped became the catalyst for your success. That's powerful. It's also painful, I admitted. The best stories are. Would you be comfortable talking about your relationship with your mother on camera? I thought about it for days. Marcus worried it would reopen wounds. Chloe thought it could be cathartic. Aunt Carol said it was my choice, but she'd support whatever I decided. In the end, I agreed. Not for revenge, but for closure. And maybe to help other women who felt invisible in their own families. The filming took 3 weeks. They interviewed me, Marcus, Chloe, and several clients. They toured my office and documented a wedding I planned. And yes, they asked about Mom. She made a choice, I said on camera. And that choice freed me to make my own. Mom found out about the documentary from Aunt Carol. She called immediately, frantic. You're making a documentary about our family? Without asking permission? It's about my business, Mom. You're barely mentioned. But people will know I missed your wedding. They'll judge me. Yes, I said simply. They probably will. How could you do this to me? To our family? I didn't do anything to you. I'm telling my story. If that reflects poorly on you, maybe that's something to think about. She hung up. Within an hour, she'd called Aunt Carol, Ryan, and several other relatives, trying to stop the documentary. But it was already finished. The premiere was scheduled for the following month. I felt surprisingly calm about it. Let her panic. Let her face consequences for once. I'd spent too many years protecting her feelings while she ignored mine. The documentary premiered at a small theater downtown. The producers invited me to attend the screening with Marcus and a few friends. I didn't tell Mom about it, but somehow she found out. She showed up anyway. I saw her slip into the back row as the lights dimmed. My stomach twisted, but Marcus squeezed my hand and I focused on the screen. The documentary was beautiful. They'd woven my wedding photos with interviews and shots of my business. When they showed the empty chair from my ceremony with that single white rose, the audience gasped. Some people cried. Mom's face was shown briefly in social media photos from Ryan's wedding, smiling while I got married without her. The contrast was devastating. I realized that day, my recorded voice said, that I'd been waiting for approval from someone who would never give it. So I stopped waiting and started building. When the credits rolled, the audience applauded. People came up to congratulate me, to share their own stories of family disappointment. Mom stayed in her seat, tears streaming down her face. She approached as the crowd thinned. Her makeup was smudged, her hands shaking. "Lauren, please. Can we talk?" Marcus tensed beside me, but I nodded. We moved to a quiet corner of the lobby. "Everyone's going to know," she whispered. "Everyone's going to know I missed your wedding." "They already do, Mom. It's not a secret. But now they'll think I'm a terrible mother." "Are you?" I asked gently. "Do you think you treated me fairly?" She opened her mouth, closed it, then started crying harder. "I don't know. I thought I was doing my best. Ryan needed so much attention, and you seemed fine on your own. I thought you were stronger." "I was surviving," I corrected. "There's a difference." "I'm so sorry." She reached for my hands, but I stepped back. "Please, Lauren. I know I can't fix the past, but can we try to move forward?" I looked at this woman who'd given birth to me but never really seen me. "I don't know, Mom. I need time." "How much time?" "However long it takes." I turned to leave, then paused. "For the record? I didn't make this documentary to hurt you. I made it to help me. Your pain is a side effect, not the goal." The documentary went semi-viral online. My business exploded with inquiries. I hired 2 assistants and moved into a proper office space. Magazine features. Podcast interviews. Speaking engagements. My little hobby had become a 6-figure business. Mom sent flowers. Apology letters. Text messages asking to meet. I responded occasionally, but kept my distance. The wound was too fresh, the betrayal too deep. Maybe someday we'd rebuild something, but not yet. Ryan and Natalie reached out more regularly. They attended a small dinner party I hosted, and Natalie pulled me aside afterward. "Your mom talks about you constantly now," she said. "Every family gathering, she shows people your magazine features and tells everyone about your business. She's proud now that I'm successful," I observed. "When I needed support, she wasn't there." "I know. I'm sorry." Natalie hesitated. "For what it's worth, she cries a lot. She knows she messed up." I felt a flicker of sympathy, then let it pass. She made choices. So did I. We're both living with them. 2 years after my wedding, I received an invitation to speak at a women's entrepreneurship conference. The topic, Building Success from Disappointment. The irony of Mom being my greatest disappointment and biggest motivator wasn't lost on me. I prepared my speech carefully, focusing on practical business advice rather than family drama. But during the Q&A session, someone asked about my documentary. "How did you handle your mother's reaction?" she asked. "Honestly?" I paused, thinking. I let her have her feelings. Her guilt, her shame, her regret, those belonged to her, not me. I can't fix her emotions or make her feel better. That's not my job anymore. The room erupted in applause. After the event, dozens of women shared similar stories. Mothers who'd favored siblings. Families who'd dismissed their dreams. The universal pain of feeling invisible to people who were supposed to love you most. That night, I posted a photo from the conference with the caption, "Your worth isn't determined by who fails to see it." Mom commented, "I see you now, sweetheart. I'm so sorry it took me so long." I didn't respond, but I didn't delete it either. Marcus and I celebrated our 3rd anniversary at the same garden estate where we'd married. The venue owners had kept my decorations as permanent fixtures after they became locally famous. Couples now specifically requested the Lauren Pierce style for their ceremonies. We stood where we'd exchanged vows, rose petals scattered at our feet. "Any regrets?" Marcus asked, pulling me close. "About us?" "Never." I kissed him softly. "About everything else?" "I don't know. I wish things had been different with my mom. But I can't say I regret how things turned out. Your business wouldn't exist without that pain." "True. But I would have rather had a mother who loved me and no business at all." He held me tighter, understanding that both things could be true. I could be grateful for my success while mourning the relationship I'd never had. 6 months later, Mom and I finally had coffee. Not because I'd forgiven everything, but because holding anger felt heavier than holding space for possibility. She looked older, tired. "Thank you for meeting me." "I'm not promising anything," I said. "I just wanted to hear what you have to say." She pulled out an old photo, me at 5 years old, handing Ryan a trophy he'd won at soccer. I remembered that day. Mom had taken dozens of photos of Ryan. This was the only one with me in it. "You were always so supportive of your brother," she said quietly. "So mature, so understanding." I took advantage of that. I let you fade into the background because it was easier than managing 2 children who needed attention. I needed attention too, Mom. I just didn't demand it. "I know. I failed you." Tears filled her eyes. "I can't fix what I broke. But I want you to know I see it now. I see you. And I'm proud, not because you're successful, but because you became this person despite me, not because of me." I felt my own tears building. I needed to hear that. "I know I don't deserve another chance," she continued. "But if you're ever willing to try, I promise I'll do better." I looked at her, really looked, and saw genuine remorse. It didn't erase the past, but maybe it could reshape the future. "Small steps," I said finally. "Coffee sometimes. Phone calls. But I need you to respect my boundaries." "Anything," she promised. "Whatever you need." We sat in that coffee shop for 2 hours, talking honestly for the first time in my life. She apologized repeatedly. I accepted when I could, held space when I couldn't. By the end, nothing was fixed, but something had shifted. Walking home, I thought about that empty chair at my wedding. The white rose I'd placed there. At the time, it had symbolized abandonment. Now, 3 years later, it represented something else, the moment I stopped waiting for someone else to validate my worth. Mom's absence had hurt, but it had also freed me. In choosing not to see me, she'd given me permission to build my own spotlight. And now, whether she was watching or not, I was finally standing in my own light. The story didn't end with forgiveness or reunion. It ended with me choosing myself. And somehow, that was enough.